Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. A bit of everything today, as well as some watch goals for 2022, and I prepare for my final State of the Collection video. Let's get into some watches and some other cool stuff in the meantime. So we'll start with a wristwatch check, and of course I'm wearing the Safari, the copper dial version. Although I have to admit, the last couple of days I have taken quite a liking to the ivory white, and I cannot decide which one I like more. I think a lot of you are in the same boat, and it does come on this fantastic melange strap from Wrist Candy Watch Club. Oh, and by the way, if you missed the video, I'll put a link there. Do check it out, this amazing launch. Knife check before we get into this. I'm using the Hawkbill blade, the civilian version, or AKA the Hannibal Lecter knife. Love this thing. Now we got a magazine as well. Ah, there we go. Moyer Fine Jewelers magazine. I didn't even know they had a magazine. That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, they got some watches. I got some watches. Ooh, hello. Hello. Nice. So, drum roll, please. Put that to one side. Ooh, beautiful paper. Oh my God. Wow. I can already see how thin it is. Obviously, this is the manual wind, SBGY007G, and it has a dial. Oh my God, look at that. It's, oh, what a beautiful shape. And let's just wind it. Oh my God, that is the most buttery smooth winding I've ever experienced. So this is a relatively new movement. This is the caliber 9R31, and oh, you get to see it. Oh wait, hold on. Let's open this up. And this very innovative new barrel there. So it boosts the power reserve to 72 hours. It's very clever. What they've done is it's a dual spring barrel, which contains basically two main springs set in parallel. Very cool indeed. Highly innovative. God knows how they've done it. And oh, look at those razor-like hands. And it's wonderfully slender because of course it is manual wind. And the dial is inspired by Lake Suwa near the factory when it's iced over during the winter months. And oh my God, let's just zoom in there. That is spectacular, absolutely. It goes from a blue to a white to a... Do you see that? I don't know if it's coming through to the camera, but my God, no date, no power reserve to spoil the beautiful symmetry there. Let's just slip it on the wrist for a second. My God, 38 millimeters. Yeah, 38 millimeters. That's, oh, I couldn't ask for more. That is a beautiful, that makes for a perfect dress watch, really. Look at that Zaruzatsu mirror finish and then brushed on the sides. So masterfully done. God, could this be my first Grand Seiko? Stay tuned for the full review. This is just an initial impressions, but love the strap, very supple. It's blue on the inside, obviously to echo the blue tints and hues in the dial. We've got blue stitching there. Very elegant. I'm impressed. Oh, there's something on the glass. There's like a, what do you call it? Like a watermark on the glass. Do you see that? Very cool. Beautiful beveling. All kinds of decoration, I suspect. Oh, and that's the power reserve. Ah, that's clever, so it doesn't muck up that beautiful dial symmetry. Stay tuned for the full review. I will do this sometime in January. Yeah, I'm very excited about this one. Cool. So a lot of people ask me, if I love Seiko so much, why do I not have a Grand Seiko in the collection? Well, frankly, I did want to add one. I agree, it is kind of imperative for a Seikoholic such as myself. After all, it is such an important part of the brand. And they do make some of the best luxury watches in the world. I'd even go so far to say that you cannot be a true watch enthusiast if you do not appreciate Grand Seiko and their prestigious history. In 2020, I was actually planning a trip to Japan, and aside from seeing all the predictable historic tourist attractions that I'm simply dying to see, along with all the amazing food, culture, architecture, history, naturally I would have made my pilgrimage to the Seiko Museum and possibly the Grand Seiko factory. Part of the plan was to commemorate the trip with purchasing a Seiko, either a vintage classic Seiko or perhaps something new that takes my fancy, but I wanted it to be purchased in Japan to commemorate that experience. Unfortunately, as we all know, world events went a different way in 2020, and those plans were essentially put on hold. But my good friends Moyer, being an official AD for Grand Seiko, have access to almost all of their watches. So my first goal for 2022 is finding that perfect high-end Seiko for my collection, and in doing so, create some in-depth, unsponsored reviews over this next coming year. Okay, so the next watch I want to talk about is my little hammy. It has returned. This is a mil-spec piece. I'll summarize it in just a moment, but I sent it to my good friend Jeff. Shout out to Jeff, the Maestro Watchmakers 4, who famously modded my Seikos, and he did an absolute bang-up job. Now, before the watch purists get their knickers all in a twist, the only work I have had done on this watch was the Cerakoting, and some flakes that had come off the tritium that was stuck on the middle of the dial. So basically just a bit of a cleanup and a refinishing on the outside. No repainting or anything of that manner. I think it would be a travesty to change the natural perfect patina on the dial. We also left the case back completely untouched, so I can see the military specifications and the original parkerized finish. After all, this is the quintessential manual wind hacking Hamilton field watch that inspired most of the modern khaki collection's design language, as I've discussed before. So it's not going anywhere. This is purely a historic model for me to enjoy. And I must say I'm really chuffed with this one. I do feel Hamilton is one of those brands that I simply must have in the collection. Okay, so the next watch I'm going to talk about isn't actually here. It's the Dan Henry 1972. If you recall from my review, there were some problems with it. I've sent it back. So far, I'm having a good experience with the customer support. A lot of you mentioned it was pretty good. Maybe in hindsight, I was a little too critical in my review, but then again, I do have a duty to report, the positives and the negatives. Otherwise, what's the point of the review? So on to my second unboxing. It's been a very crucial and formative year for me, and I wanted to celebrate it. I got hired for the first time to direct a documentary in Italy, outside of my YouTube adventures. This is very important to me, as I've always aspired to be a film director. I also co-designed another 3 watches. 2 of them have now been released, and the 3rd will be sometime next year. So I wanted to end 2021 with something purely luxury and self-indulgent for all that hard work. Now, if you've been following my channel, you will know that I have been considering selling my Tudor Submariner and getting the Yachtmaster with the blue dial that I have reviewed a few times now. My journey with the Submariner, whether it be from Tudor or Rolex, has been a long one and documented extensively over the years. After all, I did start this channel with the contemporary ceramic sub with date. But after experiencing endless references and configurations, in the end I have decided to keep my Tudor. It would have been a big mistake to let it go, in my opinion. The size, discreet vintage charm, more involved military history, and it being a less predictable type of sub compared to its bigger brother from Rolex. But most importantly, simultaneously evoking those Bondian classic vibes for 3 years now, in fact, which for somebody as horologically promiscuous when it comes to watches as me, does say a lot. So did I get the Yachtmaster in the end? Well, no. I actually decided to go for the previously reviewed Bluesy. So why this reference? The epiphany, or the decision rather, to go with the two-tone Bluesy happened in the middle of a marathon of Brian De Palma movies. I'm a big De Palma fan, and one of them, well, the most underrated in my opinion, a personal favorite, is Raising Kane from 1992, with the excellent John Lithgow. Now, he plays a character with multiple personalities, and one of these personalities, not to give spoilers away, is a pair of twins, and the evil twin, of course, wears the two-tone bluesy, and I think it perfectly demonstrates the aspirational kind of dark side of Rolex, flashy status symbol, with the more honest tool watch, that interesting dichotomy between their own watches. So when I borrowed one from Moyer to review and considered purchasing for myself, I took it on a day trip to the battleship New Jersey along with my Tudor. On the ship, the Tudor was right at home, in its element. At the Italian restaurant afterwards, the bluesy felt more fitting for that setting, and it really came alive. Now don't get me wrong, both can handle any situation perfectly, but one is about luxury, pizzazz, and dare I say it, a little bit more fun. The other is a tool watch, there to serve discreetly, in many ways the complete antithesis. And I think I did comment on how amazing it is that essentially the same watch can be so diametrically opposed. So the solution really is to have both, rather than sell one or keep the other and lust after the one you don't have. So to fund it, I decided to trade in my two-tone Datejust and two-tone Tudor Prince Date Day that I both purchased in 2020 and 2021. All I had to do was add a few grand, and it was not a drastically big expense. In fact, that segues perfectly into my next reason why I wanted this late 2008 transitional bluesy with the Rehort. Just hide the serial number. There we got the box and papers. There it is. What year is this? 2008. Not that old. So, I wanted the more modern non-tritium loom, functioning loom basically. So yeah. The biggest motivation for going with this watch, yeah, you guessed it. You're probably rolling your eyes. I can put it on a two-tone Jubilee. I know there is a two-tone Yachtmaster, not really my cup of tea. Also works with a lot more of my jewelry. I love that compatibility. Maybe because I'm an 80s baby, perhaps I have some kind of connection with the Jubilee bracelet. I did own a lot of Datejust. That's something I do love about Datejust. It's more, well, Wolf of Wall Street vibes, especially with the blue. I just absolutely adore it. So I got this aftermarket. This is actually the same one I had on my Tudor Date Day. So yeah, can you blame me? Now the only downside so far of this purchase is that literally the same day I pulled the trigger on this bluesy, one of my favorite brands, Squire, released perhaps their most accomplished watch in recent years. We are of course talking about the Tribute Ultra Limited Edition of only 30 pieces that celebrates their long history with the elite Italian State Police Diving Unit. If you recall from my recent Watch Talk episode with Duncan Casey, I missed out on the prestigious Galeazzi Squire that they made in collaboration with that brand, which has since exploded in value and therefore has become out of my reach. Well, this time you actually get, speaking of Galeazzi, a diver's knife complete with an adjustable clamp built into the handle. To rub it in even further, they've decided to put the watch with a box made from 19th century Tuscan wine barrels. And if you know me, you know that I lived in Florence for a while, so as you can imagine, something of a dream watch. And speaking of handmade, this is what makes the watch unlike anything else out there. Every single process of the manufacturing has been done by hand, using traditional materials and techniques the same way as the originals back in the 1970s that inspired these, making each watch completely unique and unlike the next one. A process that really shows the technical mastery of Squire. Now I fear by the time I actually save up for this 40mm stunner will be unavailable, and inevitably the prices would have skyrocketed just like the Galeazzi watch. So what am I considering for next year? Well, I did talk about buying the 1521, the Azzurro from Squire, again for the third time, but this kind of took all my funds away from that. So next year, but I will keep tabs on what they're doing. I'm crushing hard on the Cartier Santos. That's a brand I adore very much, a ton of historicity and importance, and also a family tradition. My wife has the tank, my mum has the tank, so maybe a tank for me, I don't know. We'll investigate it a little bit more. Obviously, a lot more Fortis. They have been knocking it out the park with all their releases. They undoubtedly the best releases of the last couple of years, with the brand now rejuvenated with some fantastic designs. The Flieger 39mm is still on my radar, although let's see what they come up with next. What else? Accutron, of course. That revolutionary electrostatic technology, that alone warrants more investigation and learning about, sharing it on the channel. So lastly, I want to bring your attention to a really cool little EDC item that I picked up recently for an impressive $10 on Amazon that I wanted to share ahead of next year's EDC update, which is a video I do annually. So not exactly the most sophisticated of items, but this simple little belt clip sheath by a brand I've never heard of before but called Easy Ant has really been a great update and allows me to carry the 3 most essential items, well, among many other things of course, that I never leave home without: a flashlight, folding knife and pen. This then frees my pockets for more comfort and space for other things, like my Carl Friedrik wallet, key holder, and of course the Unico single watch case that I co-designed, so I can always have a secondary watch on me. What I like about it is it's the perfect unobtrusive size without being too bulky, like so many are out there that are frankly too big and cumbersome. However, I doubt very much it will last forever like my Carl Friedrik items. After all, that is the essential difference with cheaper made leather goods, as they will often need replacing due to the low quality stitching and material itself. But for $10, I'm not overly concerned. It would have been really nice to find it in the same high quality Tuscan vachetta leather to match my other items in cognac. I might even reach out to Carl Friedrik and see if I can have something like this custom made. But if anybody in the meantime does have anything in a similar size that you recommend in a style like this, please do let me know in the comments. So there we have it. Now of course the next video will be my last of the year, my State of the Collection, which I do annually. It's been delayed because of the Hanhart, you know, the Safari, the Bluesy, all these acquisitions and collaborations. But finally I can share it with you, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to add your watch goals in the comments below, and of course any recommendations of brands, watches I should look at next year. Thank you so much for watching. Onwards and upwards. Oh, and don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.